You're scrolling through your phone and you stumble across something that makes your blood run cold. Maybe it's a photograph that shouldn't exist, or a document that was never supposed to see the light of day. Well, imagine if that something was hidden behind the walls of one of the most secretive places on Earth, the Vatican. Yeah, the place where they keep more secrets than your browser history. Now, I know what you're thinking. The Vatican? Isn't that just where the Pope lives and waves at people from balconies? Well, my friend, you're about to discover that beneath all that marble and gold lies a collection of mysteries so disturbing that even Hollywood wouldn't dare turn them into a movie. We're talking about unexplained disappearances, forbidden archives, and events so bizarre that they make your favorite conspiracy theory look like a bedtime story. The Vanishing of Emanuela Orlandi might sound like the title of a mystery novel, but this real-life disappearance has haunted the Vatican for over 40 years. Picture this. It's June 1983, and 15-year-old Emanuela Orlandi, daughter of a Vatican employee, vanishes without a trace after leaving a music lesson in Rome. Now you might be thinking, okay, that's tragic, but people go missing all the time. But here's where it gets weird, really weird. Emanuela wasn't just any teenager. She lived inside Vatican City with her family. Her father worked directly for the Pope. She disappeared from one of the most surveilled areas in Rome, and despite decades of investigation, multiple confessions that later proved false, and even intervention from the highest levels of the Catholic Church, nobody knows what happened to her. It's like she just evaporated into thin air. But wait, it gets stranger. Over the years, anonymous phone calls started coming in, claiming responsibility for her disappearance. Some callers demanded the release of a Turkish assassin who had tried to kill Pope John Paul II. Others made bizarre demands that made no sense whatsoever. The Vatican received ransom notes, cryptic messages, and even audio recordings allegedly featuring Emanuela's voice. Yet every lead turned into a dead end. Here's what really makes your skin crawl. In 2019, the Vatican opened 2 tombs in their cemetery, thinking they might contain Emanuela's remains. The tombs were empty, completely empty. Not only were there no signs of Emanuela, but the bodies that were supposed to be there had vanished too. How do you lose bodies from inside Vatican City? How does that even happen? The case has spawned countless theories. Some say she was kidnapped by organized crime. Others believe she stumbled upon something she wasn't supposed to see. There are whispers about secret societies, financial scandals, and cover-ups that reach the highest levels of the church. But here's the most unsettling part. The Vatican has never provided a clear, consistent explanation for what happened that day. Speaking of things that shouldn't exist, let's talk about the Vatican Secret Archives. Oh wait, they're not called that anymore. In 2019, Pope Francis renamed them the Vatican Apostolic Archives. Interesting timing, don't you think? It's like when your friend suddenly changes their social media name right after something embarrassing happens. These archives contain over 50 miles of shelving packed with documents spanning 12 centuries of history. That's enough paperwork to stretch from New York to Philadelphia. But here's the kicker, only a handful of scholars are allowed access each year, and they can only request a maximum of 3 documents per day. It would take someone roughly 1,600 years to read everything in there. Convenient, right? Now, the Vatican claims these restrictions exist to preserve the documents. But critics argue there's something much more sinister going on. What exactly are they hiding behind those locked doors? We know some of the contents include records of the Inquisition, documents related to Galileo's trial, and correspondence with world leaders during both world wars. But what about the stuff they won't even acknowledge exists? Former Vatican employees have come forward with disturbing claims about what they've seen in those archives. Documents that were supposedly destroyed but somehow still exist. Records of events that officially never happened. Files on individuals who were erased from history. One former archivist, speaking on condition of anonymity, claimed he discovered documents that would fundamentally change how people view the Catholic Church if they were ever made public. But perhaps the most chilling aspect of the Vatican archives isn't what's in them, but what's missing from them. Historians have identified massive gaps in the historical record, periods where documents should exist but simply don't. It's as if entire years of Vatican history have been systematically erased. The question is, what happened during those missing years that was so terrible it had to be completely wiped from the record? The third secret of Fatima represents one of the most controversial mysteries in modern Catholic history. In 1917, 3 Portuguese children claimed the Virgin Mary appeared to them and revealed 3 secrets about the future of the world. The first 2 secrets were eventually made public and seemed to predict World War I and World War II. But the third secret, that's where things get really strange. The Vatican claimed for decades that the third secret was too dangerous to reveal. Too dangerous? What could possibly be so catastrophic that the Catholic Church, an institution that survived plagues, wars, and scandals that would destroy most organizations, was afraid to share it? In the year 2000, they finally released what they claimed was the complete third secret. It described a vision of a bishop in white, presumably the Pope, being killed by soldiers. But here's where it gets fishy. The original handwritten document was only 26 lines long. The Vatican's official interpretation went on for pages and pages. Many experts who examined the released text believe crucial portions were deliberately omitted. Cardinal Ratzinger, who later became Pope Benedict XVI, even admitted in interviews that the full revelation had not been disclosed. So what exactly did those children see that was so terrifying the Vatican kept it locked away for over 80 years? Some researchers have uncovered disturbing clues about what the complete secret might contain, references to a great apostasy within the Church itself, predictions about the Vatican being infiltrated by enemies of the faith, visions of Rome being destroyed and the papacy being corrupted from within. If these interpretations are accurate, it would mean the Vatican has been sitting on prophecies about its own downfall for over a century. The most unsettling part? Sister Lucia, the last surviving witness to the apparitions, reportedly told several trusted confidants that what the Vatican released in 2000 was not the complete truth. She died in 2005, taking whatever she knew to her grave. But before her death, she allegedly warned that the real third secret would be revealed when the world was ready for it. The question is, are we ready? And more importantly, what happens when we find out what they've been hiding? Now let's venture into something that sounds like it came straight out of a horror movie: Vatican exorcisms. You might think exorcisms are just Hollywood nonsense, but the Catholic Church not only believes in them, they have an entire department dedicated to dealing with demonic possession. And the stories coming out of Vatican City about these encounters are absolutely terrifying. Father Gabriele Amorth served as the Vatican's chief exorcist for over 25 years. During his career, he claimed to have performed more than 60,000 exorcisms. 60,000. That's not a typo. This man was basically fighting demons on a daily basis. But what makes his account so disturbing isn't just the numbers, it's the details he shared about what he witnessed during these sessions. According to Father Amorth, possessed individuals would speak in ancient languages they had never learned, reveal personal secrets about people they had never met, and demonstrate supernatural strength that defied medical explanation. He documented cases where people levitated off the ground, where objects moved on their own, and where temperatures in rooms would plummet without any natural cause. But here's the really creepy part. He claimed that some of the most severe possessions he encountered were connected to people who had somehow gained access to forbidden areas within Vatican City itself. What could someone possibly encounter in the Vatican that would leave them vulnerable to demonic possession? Father Amorth suggested that certain artifacts and documents housed within Vatican City carry with them a spiritual darkness that can affect anyone who comes into contact with them. He spoke of cursed objects confiscated by the Church over centuries, items so dangerous that they're kept in specially blessed containers deep beneath St. Peter's Basilica. But the most chilling revelation came in Father Amorth's final interviews before his death in 2016. He claimed that Satan himself had infiltrated the highest levels of the Vatican hierarchy. He wasn't speaking metaphorically about corruption or sin. He was making literal accusations about demonic influence among cardinals and bishops. When pressed for details, he would only say that the truth would eventually come to light, but not until after his death. The Vatican's current position on exorcism remains as mysterious as ever. They acknowledge the practice exists, but refuse to provide statistics on how many are performed each year. They won't discuss specific cases or reveal the criteria they use to determine if someone is genuinely possessed versus mentally ill. It's almost as if they want to keep the public in the dark about just how often they're dealing with supernatural encounters. Here's something that will make you question everything you think you know about Vatican architecture. Hidden beneath the grandeur of St. Peter's Basilica lies a network of tunnels, chambers, and crypts that most visitors will never see. These aren't just storage areas or maintenance tunnels. According to construction workers and Vatican employees who've accessed these underground areas, some of these spaces contain things that shouldn't exist. Multiple witnesses have reported discovering chambers filled with artifacts that don't match any known historical period. Statues carved from materials that haven't been identified by modern science inscriptions, written in scripts that no linguist has been able to translate. Rooms that seem to have been abandoned in a hurry, with personal belongings scattered around as if the occupants fled in terror. One particularly disturbing account comes from a restoration worker who was hired to repair water damage in the lower levels of the Vatican in 1998. He described finding a room filled with what appeared to be ancient medical equipment, but designed for procedures that made no sense. Tables with restraints that seemed built for something much larger than a human being's surgical instruments that looked more like torture devices. And most unsettling of all, walls covered in what appeared to be claw marks, as if something had been trying desperately to escape. The Vatican's official response to these reports? Complete denial. They claim these workers were either mistaken, lying, or suffered from hallucinations caused by poor ventilation in the underground areas. But here's the problem with that explanation. Too many different people, working at different times, in different locations, have reported similar findings. Either there's a massive conspiracy among Vatican construction workers, or there's something down there that the church desperately wants to keep hidden, so there you have it. The disappearance of Emanuela Orlandi that defies every logical explanation. Secret archives containing 50 miles of documents that might rewrite history if anyone could actually read them. The third secret of Fatima that was supposedly too dangerous for the world to know. Exorcisms being performed by the thousands in the shadows of St. Peter's Basilica, and underground chambers filled with artifacts that shouldn't exist according to everything we know about human history. These aren't just spooky stories to tell around a campfire. These are documented mysteries that have stumped investigators, historians, and even Vatican officials themselves for decades. The most unsettling part isn't what we've uncovered, it's realizing how much we still don't know. Every answer seems to lead to 10 more questions, and every declassified document reveals that there are 100 more that remain locked away. Look, I'm not saying you should start wearing a tinfoil hat or stop trusting every religious institution on the planet. But what I am saying is this: when one of the most powerful organizations in human history goes to such extraordinary lengths to keep certain information hidden, maybe it's worth asking why. Maybe it's worth wondering what they're so afraid of us finding out. The Vatican has survived for over 2,000 years by adapting to every challenge thrown at it. Wars, plagues, scandals, scientific discoveries that challenge their teachings. But these mysteries, these secrets seem different. It's almost like they're not just protecting their reputation or their power. It's like they're protecting us from something. The question is, do we really want to know what that something is? If you enjoyed this video, click the other one on the screen to see more.